All right, welcome back. Now, according by Informe, they say estimated 200 million children that they born them with disability or that they become disabled before the age of 19, and over 70% for inside developing countries. Now, what they sad about this particular one, they say just 90% of children for inside developing countries like Nigeria not even get access to some of the tools where if we aid them to learn better or to live a very good life. And that's now why we get this Kajat guest in the house. She na Crystal Olasumbo Chigbu, and she be the executive director and founder of the Irede Foundation. This one a social sector where they focus on giving hope to children amputee for inside Wibudo, Nigeria, and also in Africa. She don't do a lot of things, but you need to see this Kajat woman. Good to have you in the house.
Thank you so much.
All right, so let's talk about kids with disability, especially their inability to have access to tools. Who will go blame? Is it the health sector, or blame federal government, or blame private people when not actually join hands with government?
I would say that not only the health sector. I think we all have something to do or work to do in that regard. But really, the big issue that we have in Nigeria is more from the government angle, because we have a lot of policies in place. However, there are no implementations. So you know that when you have your building, you should make sure that the building is accessible for someone on a wheelchair, for somebody that is probably, blind, but nobody is asking. And that's why I say it's everybody. So if it concerns you, then you need to ask. You need to know what is going on. So like my daughter, every time we are traveling and I ask for a wheelchair, and the first thing they tell me is, there's nothing, she's just a child, she can go through. And I'm like, okay, she doesn't have it. So I demand to have a wheelchair because I know she's entitled to having a wheelchair. And then the conversation starts. So sometimes people do not know until you start the conversation. So it's not just the government, it's the people that are involved, it's everyone in the health sector. Is we creating the kind of education that people need to have to ensure that, at the end of the day, accessibility is the way to go.
Interesting. Now, so many people don't, to be honest, they get many people we know, will I say, I don't know what I would say is, whether I should say it's a stigma thing, but people looking at those who use limbs, who use artificial limbs, prosthetic limbs, they get as people, they look them somehow. There's this strange look that people get. Exactly.
But even if now you go look. So it's strange, it's different, it's unique. It's the same way you will look at somebody that probably has the kind of color of hair that I have, because
it's different.
It's not conventional. So I don't blame people when they look. So people will look. Every time I work with somebody that does not have a hand or does not even have a prosthesis on, people will look, because I think it's just in our minds, it's in your subconscious, because you're trying to ask a question, you don't know what to do, whether you should ask the person, waiting do your leg or waiting do. But the problem is the fact that we do not look and take our eyes off. We look, and then looking becomes staring. And, it makes the person uncomfortable. So that's what happens. But I think that when you have anything that is different on you, it might not be an artificial leg. It might not be that you are blind. I mean, if you wear the kind of sunshades that are different, people will definitely look at you and probably talk about it.
Or the color of your hair, like you stated. I like the color of your hair, by the way.
Thank you.
All right, now, I quickly want to ask, now, getting the prosthetic limbs, how accessible are they? How difficult is it to get? And how expensive are they?
It's pretty difficult, especially in a place like Nigeria, because we don't manufacture here in Nigeria. We only have today assembling. And trust me, it is crazy expensive. The use of prostheses has migrated from, having what they call the Japan food, so like wood, and then you have bionics and you have things that are very high tech. So it depends on where you fit in the chain, really. But making average prostheses cost you between 1 million, 1.5 million, depending on the kind of aesthetics or what need you have in the prosthesis. And it can be as much as 10 million and,
It's very expensive. I don't know how we see people opting to just carry wood. If they don't cut my leg, make I just carry wood. Instead of me going to...
Or don't even cut the leg and just have the leg dangling, and then you can have the wood.
I remember when I interviewed you a few years ago, you come outside talk, say, there are different stages when you even need to change the prosthetic legs.
Yes, especially for children.
Especially for children. And then you made a valid point. You talk, say, before now, you were doing it on your own, providing these prosthetic legs for children who don't actually get access or get money to provide to get them.
Sure.
How far is it now? Do you have support from people, from government, from private enterprises?
I'm excited to say yes, we have support. Because initially when we started, we just did 2 limbs. And because that was what I could afford, and a few friends that joined me to be a part of it. But today we've done 82 limbs in the last 5 years.
Amazing.
So we've gone from 2 to 10 to 16 to 21 to 33 last year. And this year alone, we want to do 60 limbs. Of course, 70% of the funds that we raise come from individuals, so from you and I. People get attracted to the children. And just recently, we're doing a campaign that is called Power of 6. So I don't need to have 1 million to give a child a limb. If I have 600 naira, I can actually give a child a limb. So what we're asking people to do is, you give 600 naira, tell your friends to do the same, and just do it for 6 months. And if you can do that, we can put all those funds together and give 60 children limbs this year. And it's been amazing. We have companies that support. Some companies do not even support by giving funds, but they come in kind. So our website is done by a company for free. So we don't have to put funds in that again. We have some of even the technicians that provide the prostheses for the children now say, okay, I know that year on year you do about 10 limbs from me. I will give you an extra limb. So I will do 1 limb for 1 child for free. We have 6 companies from outside the country that say, you know what, we want to support women and children with limbs. So this year we're going to support 10 women, or we're going to support 10 children. And so we partner with them to ensure that we deliver the limbs for the children. But from where we're coming from,
how do you get the children?
I mean, from a show like this, there's probably somebody watching that knows that there is someone that needs a limb and, you know, cannot afford it. So they refer the children to us. Then we also have a campaign that we run on social media that we call Refer a Child. So anybody can just look within their community. So we're involving everybody, and then you refer the child to us. Then the onus is on us to do the background check and be sure that you actually cannot afford to get the prosthesis. And we try to understand all the elements around you to ensure that even when we give the limb to the child can use the limb, you know, effectively. We have doctors and technicians also that do fit limbs, because they see at the orthopedic hospitals, they see children and people that are amputated every day, and they know that they cannot afford it. So basically what they do is they get back to us and say, oh, I met a child yesterday. I don't know if you know, someone called me 2 days ago and said, you know, I saw a lady, she came with crutches, and I asked her what happened. She said a car knocked her down a month ago and she was amputated. Would you be able to help her? And I'm like, what's the age range? She said, okay, I'll check, but she should be a teenager. But when she checked, she was 28 years. And she said, oh, she doesn't have hope with you. I said, no, what you will do is refer her to us. We will refer to another organization that works with women or that works with, you know, older amputees, and then we see how to help integrate them back to life. So literally, that's how people refer, and we get referrals on people that need limbs.
Okay, now you mentioned earlier that you know, these limbs are not exactly cheap, and they're not exactly produced from scratch to finish in Nigeria here. So where do you get them from? How do you get them?
Today, we work through our technicians, because they have better contact of different suppliers around the world that, you know, make prostheses. So the biggest prosthetic company is in Germany, and they provide, but there are other smaller companies that are beginning to, you know, produce in India and all of that. However, I want to say of note, there's some guy that I met about 3 years ago, or 4 years ago now, from the work, and he is a Nigerian. He uses 90% materials from Nigeria to make his limb. So he was a shoemaker before he started making prosthetic limbs.
Imagine if we invest in that person.
So he makes prosthetic limbs from leather and all of that. He's based in the north. We've done a couple of prostheses from him. So we're beginning to have people that are going deeper to say, how can we do local manufacturing?
You know, just quickly, because time not really our friend, because we need to wrap up this. I just want to talk to you on a personal note now. You say your child, she actually needs services, as in extra tools. She doesn't have a leg. Now, as a mother, what will be the challenges where you face when you realize that my child will definitely need support to be able to live well?
One of the things that I faced is, what am I going to tell people when they ask me? So there are a lot of questions. What am I going to tell her when she grows up and she's asking me? We you know, the age where she is now, and she's asking me what happened to me or what went wrong, will she be able to get married? Will she be able to live life to the fullest? How will her friends, will she be bullied? And so all of those things are concerns, you know, that I have. I still have some concerns. So that helps me to drive into her some of the things that I feel like she will need. And I feel like life will still throw other things at her. And as they come, we will just face it and we'll work at it together. I've had people stigmatize, not just her, even me, by saying, you know, the mother of the amputee, which is a name that I have chosen to adopt. So, I mean...
So you accept me?
Yes, I accept it. So, because when I accept it, it's easier for me to be able to educate you, to be positive about it versus be negative. If I look at it as an insult, then I will react negatively. And so I am proactive. I even tell you before you tell me. So I am the proud mother of a... So,
proud, I like that. Proud
so there's
mother.
nothing you want to use to abuse me now. Your child doesn't have a leg. I've already told you before you tell me about it. And so I think that's probably what I face and other people face. I just met a family who gave birth to their child, and their child does not have hands at all, no legs. And these are some of the concerns they also have. How will my child fit into life? How will my child live life to the fullest? And if we're not careful sometimes, those things, you know, get us so worried, and they affect not
how
just...
they treat the child. Yeah. Wow. So how can people support you? This 600 naira per month, please, you need to support her, please. How can they support you?
We have a walk that is coming up on Saturday, and it's an awareness walk. So usually I tell people the first way to support is to be an advocate for amputees, or be an advocate for persons with disabilities. So you don't have to, you know, carry a placard. And being an advocate can just be a one-on-one conversation and tell people that, you know, focus on the abilities and not the disabilities. Because when you focus on someone's ability, you see life in a big perspective. And so our social media handles are there.
Please give us quickly,
so it's at the Irede Foundation, THEIREDEFOUNDATION.org, our website, and across our social media platform. Right now, I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but they can always reach out through social media or WhatsApp to us.
So at the Irede Foundation, please, we ask you to please support her. Give children hope again, especially those who will not get leg. Give them hope again to live a fulfilled life. Thank you so much, Crystal.
Thank you so much for having me.
All the best, all the very best.
Thank you so much.
To enjoy more of these our Ogbonge videos when you just watch, press this button to subscribe on top of our YouTube page. You go love her.